All right, so everyone watching here, welcome back. This is Liam from Stakesito. We're joined today by Lava Network, and I believe your name is Yair Cleper. Is that pronounced correctly, first of all? And how are you doing today?
Great, yeah. My name is a bit tricky, I'm from Israel, and one American guy told me many years ago, if you want people to pronounce your name correct, just tell them it's Yair.
Yeah,
So
yeah, got it. I'll try to remember that next time. And yeah, can you just like introduce yourself? Probably like a good time to kind of touch on what Lava does, but also just explain like your role at the company or at the foundation or whoever kind of runs the Lava network.
yeah, for sure. I'm excited to be here. Every time we're telling the story of Lava, it's evolving a bit, sometimes a bit more, and always takes me back to share a bit the background and um, maybe even strengthen why we're here and why we're building Lava. Originally, me and my co-founders, we Israelis, we three times entrepreneurs, very techy. My co-founder has founded and sold a cybersecurity startup. I was studying computer engineering in a special program in the army, and founded a couple of startups, fintech, business intelligence, many types of work. Last startup I had was in supermarkets technology, and I was a solo founder 6 years. Um, Never do it again, by the way. Yeah, 2.5 years ago, we jumped together with Gil into crypto, and very very bullish since ever.
Excellent. I mean, it sounds like you've got quite an interesting like CV of experience there. What was the jump like very quickly from like the kind of like supermarket sector, if you like, over to crypto? It must be a big change.
Yeah, definitely. We fell through the rabbit hole very quickly. So we thought about building at the beginning. Uh, my co-founder did some MEV, NFT sniping, DEX
Mhm.
arbitrage, was getting the understanding more about the ecosystem, and we had this idea of building a multi-chain NFT marketplace. And we realized that, in order to build that, accessing data on each blockchain was a crucial part of the journey. So we wanted to run our own nodes, but then we realized that this is super resource drain, right? Like we need to run all every node and maintain that for different chains. So obviously we opted for the node providers, and we needed to have one node for Ethereum, one node for Solana, and one node for Starknet, which also are Israelis and help us boosting it up and understanding more about Web3. But then there is the kicker, right? Like, why so many providers? Managing only three is like we estimate that in thousands of dollars each month, and integrate to them seamlessly, not really. So that's easier said than done, right? So fast forward, we wanted to build more chains, integration to more chains, and Cosmos got our attention. We liked the tech, we had great things, but when we explore the different chains, we see that there are many providers, but not a really huge and big and like well-known providers, more small or medium size. Uh, Alchemy, Infura, we thought about using them, but they had their own limitation because they're supporting only handful of chains. Um, when we thought about Celestia, for example, we see that no providers were actually supporting it yet. So the dream of building, chains or something like that hit a snag. And reliable providers like were scarce, like even Solana provider that we wanted to support, it was hacked once, and it was making us worried towards our end users. How they're gonna use the system, and while behind the scenes is unstable. So even though when we dived into the APIs, or not only the basic RPC, but wanted to build also APIs, specific APIs didn't seem justify anymore to pay such a sums and use a singular providers. So at that point, we came back to Ethereum, which basic APIs were not enough, right? We needed NFT APIs for our marketplace. Alchemy handled RPC transaction, but lacked NFT APIs. Infura came to rescue, but then it means, again, you need to use two providers on Ethereum alone. So the complexity, we like complexity, but this complexity went out of hand, and we thought like blockchain world seemed, unnecessary, fragmented, and slow. This is where, we thought about, we need to build this infrastructure, this next phase of next evolution of how blockchain data is being consumed in crypto. And Lava was this solution in this chaos. With providers, today we have providers for more than 30 chains. We want to simplify the multi-chain landscape. So more node juggling between vendors, no more lock-in for 1 year or more, like with you don't really need the service, and no more headache of the integration. So Lava, it's a one-stop solution. Imagine like you are a DApp and you making a request to Lava. It's it effortlessly routing this request to the relevant provider. You don't need even to know which provider it was. So you don't need to contract the provider behind the scenes and worry about the infra. Lava, on the other hand, is also a dynamic marketplace. Adding more modules, more chains on the go, it happens seamlessly. And if this chain is gaining popularity, because it's a marketplace, more node providers joining and balancing, obviously, the supply and demand. So with Lava, we wanted to solve the issues of fragmentation, complexity, and slowness that holding back innovation in general in Web3. When you think about thousands of rollups, or today even hundreds of different blockchain, Lava wanted to provide the flexibility to build wherever you want. And with that, we thought that a modular, flexible solution empowers dev to create, depth without limits, like build whatever, wherever. And that's what we're building today.
Yeah, I actually had like a lot of questions as we were going there, but I think how you ended that kind of explainer kind of like all made sense. But I wanted to just take a step back very quickly, just because I imagine like a lot of listeners probably don't interact with like APIs and RPCs knowingly that often. So it would be really useful if you could just explain like what actually is like an RPC, what is an API, and like how is it kind of used by everyday consumers, and then how is it used by kind of like these blockchains or these dApps or these rollups that you're talking about? Because I think it'd be super useful for people.
Yeah, definitely. So RPC, it's remote procedure call. It's basically the protocol used behind the scenes. Every time you open your wallet, the end user opening the wallet, it gets a request behind the scenes by using this RPC to a node in order to check the account balance, the gas fees, and usually every chain contains dozens and hundreds of those RPC calls. The difference between RPC and API is API is a more sophisticated way to manipulate or to access the data. API can be indexing, API can be sequencing, but the bottom line is that when you are developing any application in Web3, you need to use RPC, whether by running your own node, get access to read-write transactions to the blockchain, or using a vendor, a third-party vendor, like the one I mentioned before. Actually, there is another third solution for that, which called the public RPC. This is the way that the ecosystem wanted to lower the burden to entry for developers to develop. So they introducing their own public RPC. Obviously, behind the scene, it's supported by the same second option, which is the third-party vendors. But those are the three options when you want to read, write blockchain data.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, this is why I wanted you to clarify like what an RPC was, because we probably see it the most in crypto as like a consumer when the RPC isn't working and the website kind of can't get the requests, or the wallet can't, get the requests it needs and so on. So we see it with like test nets a lot, when you're kind of interacting with something for the first time. And there's lots of bugs and stuff still, and you're kind of like hitting refresh on the page over and over again because
Doesn't go through, the transaction doesn't go through, suddenly the gas fee are not available, stuff like when we enter crypto, when we are like build a very complicated system, complex system in the past, whether my co-founder in the army or we scaled those systems to millions of users. And when we jumped, we identify like 4 different drawbacks that were kind of doesn't make sense in an era that you have a middleman giving you the access to the blockchain. You have the privacy issue, no privacy, collecting the data, sell it to someone else. You don't have censorship resistance, one of the biggest promise of Web3, because if Venezuela, for example, is ordering one of the providers, please don't let the citizens use one of the products, they can do it, right? And that's the second barrier we see. The third one is the single point of failure, exactly as you said. When you trust one provider, you have a single point of failure. If they're down, you cannot just get access and see the account balance. You sometimes cannot make transaction, right? And the fourth one, which was a bit astonishing to us, is the fact that you don't have data accuracy. If you trust a middleman, you don't know even if the data is updated, it's live, it's actually from the blockchain. And you've seen several attacks like that behind the scenes that were, informed, maybe many were not, about DNS hijacking, right? So somebody is presenting you a false information, and the end user cannot really know if this information is from the blockchain.
it seems slightly similar. I don't want to kind of get too deep into just this specific topic, but it seems like the way I'm understanding that is it seems kind of similar to the way that you kind of have like Oracle requests and the Oracle prices can get stale and there's like manipulation that can happen as a result of that. It sounds really similar, like the way you're describing the lacking like accuracy of the data sometimes, or attacks resulting from data being outdated or not knowing the source.
So behind the scenes, those are Oracle also using RPC. And at the beginning, we started working with the test the solution for protocols like Chainlink, for example, and stuff like that. And we realized that down the road, after we coming up with the testnet and the first product of Lava, this is exactly solving their problem of what you presented right now.
Okay, yeah. No, so I think I'm following, and I imagine people listening kind of can grasp that pretty well. So I had like kind of like a two-bit question next, which was you have that slogan, you mentioned it at the beginning, kind of build whatever, whenever. And then you also talked about kind of like the modularity of like Celestia, roll-ups, even like hundreds of chains like connecting to each other, right? So I guess like my question is in the context of that modular ecosystem and kind of what Lava's involvement is. So in that context, like the question is kind of how does Lava solve like the problems you're saying it solves around like the RPCs? I understand like what you've said there, where you're kind of removing that middleman that has to be trusted and kind of allowing dApps and stuff and developers to inherit the properties of blockchain that makes it so great, like censorship resistance, the transparency element, privacy if you need it, this kind of stuff. So like, what's the actual solution then? Or could you kind of explain how the solution works that Lava is providing and kind of use that in the context of Celestia and the modular ecosystem that you're kind of referring to?
Obviously, yes. So, if I take one step back, we realize that accessing data is difficult, right? We need node for every chain, and then you need a couple of node providers to help you. So there are a lot of drawbacks and fragmentation there. Eventually, all the successful dApps going multi-chains, and now with the rollups and stuff like that. So build whatever, wherever. It means that whatever dApp you want to build, you can build, like, for example, using Celestia's modular layer. So with Lava, you use it to get the access to the data itself, to read write any type of data. And build wherever means that on the long term, you can build on any blockchain by accessing that to the Lava data layer. If you want to get access to any rollup using Celestia, you need Lava at the end of the day. Or you go back to the same process of the cumbersome process that I described before. And what is new with Lava, it's kind of that we're trying to solve the crazy fragmentation in this multi-chain world, right? So there was, a time that when you said the mainnet, and I'm building a mainnet, so it means I'm building on Ethereum. But today you have, dozens and hundreds, and we're going towards the 1,000 rollup. So we need this dynamic, or what we call modular flexibility. So in Lava, we have two main concepts that we kind of can compare that to analogy of Amazon. So in Amazon, when you want to buy an item, you can buy any item there, from car to maybe houses to a pen. But you use the Amazon platform in order to get to merchants that are being scored all the time and taking accountability for the service they bring. And from them, they can offer any type of item. Basically, it's unlimited variety, right? The everything store, right? This is how it started. And to access blockchain, you need read write, and you need RPC, which is the first layer. But then you need indexing and subgraph and sequencing. So those RPC provider basically removed this necessity for you to get them by yourself. And the indexing provider removed afterwards the need to index the data yourself. But we thought, like, it's essential that you have one place for that is flexible. You can add quickly new chains, new APIs by demand, but at the same time scalable. So you don't trust one provider, you trust a series of providers. So this is what Lava is bringing. It's an open economy where those items, those needs, or API RPC, can be added, served, and scaled, helping developers to build whatever, wherever they want. So if I'm going back to the Lava, to the Amazon analogy, there are two main novelties that Lava presented. The first one is the peer-to-peer SDK. So directly pair the dApps to dozens of providers, not only once, and Lava is not the middleman there. It's straight from the browser, peer-to-peer communication to the provider themselves. Once they finish the transaction, the provider is being rewarded for the service they give. So the SDK is the good analogy for the SDK is like the Amazon algorithm that automatically gives you the best providers based on the reviews. The second one is Specs, and Specs has champions in Lava. Specs is basically a matter of new chain that a champion wants to list on Lava and make it available for the community. Lava is a public good, right? So everyone permissionlessly can join and offer the specs. So if, for example, you see now a new chain up and coming from Blast to Scale, Scroll, like, doesn't matter which one, you as a champion can join the community of Lava and can offer the spec and being rewarded for that. So back to the analogy, the items in Amazon store are exactly like Lava specs, the APIs RPC. Lava can serve any API by aggregating those providers, like Amazon can serve any item by aggregating the merchants. And I think today we have already 300 providers that joined Lava, from top providers, Blockdemon, Chainstack, to small community one that specialize in a specific ecosystem. And this is how you're unlocking innovation in Web3.
Yeah, I was hoping maybe quickly, because there was a lot of like definitions or words in that explanation. I followed a lot of it. I was wondering if you could just clarify specs and champion and how those two fit into what you just described.
So one of the core thing we realized in this new era of blockchain data, or node as a server, as a service, right? We thought that at the beginning, the first era, there were few blockchain, everyone were running their own nodes, but then blockchain adoption the last few years grew dramatically, and it's impractical to scale, and it's impractical for a single dApp to manage a few chains. So then the centralized providers lower the barrier to entry. And we believe that the next phase of data consuming in blockchain is this kind of dynamic, flexible, modular blockchain data. And we want to harness the power of community. So we give the community the concept that we call it in our tokenomics champions. Those champions can define RPC API in a specific chain. So it can be an existing chain that's still not supported in Lava, or it can be new chain that is up and coming. And you know that this is now in a testnet and the mainnet is soon, or whatever. Once they define the specs, they offer that to the community. And the community, the node providers from the community, can start spinning up nodes according to this spec and provide Lava solution as if there were new merchants on Lava that providing specific items. And so this concept of champions, we are just gearing it up right now, and we believe we will have dozens and hundreds of different champions that being rewarded for continuing maintaining, supporting, and promoting those specs. I hope it makes more sense now.
Yeah, I think it does. It does make sense. I definitely have the vision for like the need for Lava and some of like the pain points it solves around kind of accessing data on chain and just kind of accessing like providers, right, of different types of solutions to access there, I guess is the way to put it. But yeah, I don't want to get too bogged down in it because I think the way you've explained it's great. I was wondering if you could kind of talk a little bit more about indexing, different types of indexing, and like maybe explain how the graph works and talk about how Lava indexing works. Does that also then tie into the marketplace you're talking about? Yeah, if you could explain a little bit about that and maybe even share some of your partnerships and stuff happening around the ecosystem as well.
Definitely. So, we started Lava a bit more than 1.5 years ago, and it was a crazy ride, to be honest with you. Personally, my first crypto event was here in Lisbon, Solana Breakpoint, all-time highs. And hopefully we're gonna get back there soon. So when we started Lava, we wanted to surround ourselves with strong partners from ecosystem, angels, VCs, the OGs from the space. And from the get-go, we realized partnership is crucial in this space. So we start working with the top, L1s, L2s, yeah, we started to build Lava. So 1 year ago, we launched our testnet, and Mainnet is really around the corner. And once we launched the testnet, we opened Lava to providers come and join. So I mentioned before that we have more than 300 different providers that already running node in a dedicated chain, and they're listing their infra on Lava. This is basically top RPC provider that Lava is used as their distribution channel. Instead of they need to run after customers and make sure that they get billing at the end of the month, Lava is a one-stop shop and doing that for the providers themselves. And if you think about the dApps journey, I mentioned before, like in our NFT marketplace, so the first thing is important for us is to see the NFTs, to really receive the data from the blockchain. For that, we can use any RPC provider. But afterwards, what if we want to do some indexing around what specific NFTs you have in this particular wallet, what kind of NFT transaction you made, or this NFT went to different wallets in the same ecosystem. Like, we can give hundreds of examples right now. So that's the second steps of basically every dApp that started to build on an ecosystem, on a chain. They're using the RPC, and then they moved into APIs. So once we see that there is always the same process, we wanted to allow to lower the barrier to entry for the devs, that they don't need to look for those providers. Lava is a public good, so it's aggregate all of these RPC providers in a specific ecosystem. And for example, the graph is a great protocol that doing the indexing of specific data types that the community offers. So the graph can be listed on Lava on this specific ecosystem as the go-to place for dApps that already building and using the RPC, the first layer of Lava. The idea behind Lava was that dApps have one subscription and they get access to all Web3. And once they go to other chains because they heard a new chain is up and coming, they don't need to start all of this burden again. They don't need to start contracting different providers. They don't need to run after quotes. They have a platform where they can build whatever, wherever. And today we already announced partnership with APIs, which, to be straightforward with you, we thought is going to be down the road. But we see more demand once, like starting a couple of months ago. So we announced a partnership with Subsquid, working with other top API provider on Starknet, for example, and other chains. But that's also the place for me to call everyone who building APIs, RPC, come join Lava. This revolution is already happening.
Really good. Like the way you explain this stuff, like I think it makes complete sense. It's one of those things you have to listen through a couple of times, I think, if you're not familiar with like the terminology and stuff. But the way you're describing like this platform, this marketplace, to kind of bring like the providers and the consumers like together, like that really kind of makes sense for me. And it sounds like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. No, I just you're reminding me. I bump into chain abstraction, the last thread of Ilya, from Near, and he was providing this example that says a lot of similarity with emails, right? So we like in the beginning we gave this example in Web 2, where you are the end user, you surfing the web, and you typing www.facebook.amazon. something. You don't know what's happening behind the scenes, right? You don't need to know what's happening behind the scenes. You don't know if the data is on cloud, is in is in Eastern Europe, is in North America, is GCP, is it you have no idea about that. Why today, when you build a dApp, you need to know those things. It's as if you need to run your own version of cloud every time you accessing a new blockchain, because a new blockchain is the new internet. And this is what Lava wants to do. It's to simplify the way blockchain data is being consumed.
Yeah, totally makes sense there. Especially on the abstraction kind of stuff. Like I'm a big abstraction maxi, I'd say, where we, take away as much complexity and unnecessary stuff for teams. Like, if you're like building a shop, you don't want to kind of know how to build a road, right? It's not your thing. So yeah.
And we realized that we're saving, dApps came back to us after using our testnet last year, and they said we're saving double digits % of their resources because they don't have to think about, oh, we have a load balancer, we have a backup, we have disaster like no, because they have one stop. They have one single stop that giving them this access to a fleet of node provider that giving them the service. So it's not like putting all the eggs in one basket.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is super important as well, right? To kind of like have like a good distributed system, or at least different access points for RPCs and data. So that makes a lot of sense. We've got 4 or 5 minutes to wrap stuff up and also give like, pardon?
Time flies by you when we're joining. I didn't notice the time.
Yeah, it just goes so quickly. I mean, it's super interesting. Like you definitely have a knack for explaining things. So what I wanted to kind of quickly get to, because we only have 4 minutes, what like partnerships are you expecting to have coming up? If there are any like really exciting ones in the work? I'll leave you with that quickly, and then we'll do a couple of other quick questions.
Yeah, definitely. So Mainnet is coming.
Mhm.
In the last 1 year, we beefed up the Lava solution. We made sure that we're focusing on the UX UI. Super important for devs. We made sure that these different actors that can join Lava, dApps, node providers, validators, champions, everyone, the onboarding process is seamless. If you are a node running a community node provider in a specific chain and you're small and no one knows you, you can list your infrastructure in 5 minutes in Lava. It's kind of Uber for nodes. So when you don't use your car, right? When you don't need the node running, why not monetizing that? It's already up and running, right? So we allowing even a small community node runners to list this service on Lava and basically to get rewards for that. And I think when we started, it led many ecosystems to approach us and say, just a second, you remember I mentioned the public RPC. Every ecosystem has that, but this is kind of the backyard of the ecosystem. They don't want to monetize that. They have lock-in contract, the ecosystem themselves with the provider, with the node providers, and they don't get insights into the community. So they say, why Lava is a public good, right? We're not promoting a single provider. Why Lava cannot be this public RPC? And this is when in September, we announced the concept of IP RPC, incentivized public RPC. This is actually our first product to ecosystem. So we were lucky enough to get amazing conviction and vote of confidence from the ecosystem, started by working with Evmos, Axelar, Near now we announced, Starknet is soon. Obviously, Celestia is a great partner with the Modular, but we're learning a lot from their modular thesis. And in each and every ecosystem, dozens of providers already join and receiving rewards at the end of the month. And I think this is really unlocking the innovation, the scalability, and solving the fragmentation in Web3. So I'm calling every node runner, every ecosystem that is up and coming. When you go mainnet, when you're gonna do your airdrop, you're gonna need this scalable solution, and we are here for that.
Fantastic, brilliant. And when is your mainnet coming? And is there anything you want to kind of say to like individuals, like everyday kind of community members, for getting ready for that mainnet?
Yeah, definitely. We're not calling only for technical user. You know, I try to make this conversation, and thanks to your great questions, also you helped me to emphasize that this Lava is not for only technical users, it's also for non-technical users. And we have community that's starting to be built in Korea, in Africa, in Turkey, that, you know, not most of them are devs. We need this help while going towards the mainnet in the testnet, writing guides, writing documentation for that. Join our Discord, obviously. It's a vibrant community there. And we coming up with, I'm going to give a sneak peek, we're coming up with the points system coming up soon. So the point system, it's something that we're going to announce soon. And, you know, we wanted to think how we let every non-technical user that doesn't use the RPC and doesn't, you know, doesn't have this need immediately to get also engaged with Lava. And I think that just a sneak peek, you know, if we allowing every user to bring the real values of Web3, to give access to anywhere in Web3 with bearing in mind that you have a public good that serves you the way you want, that can be a game changer. And that's just a sneak peek, and you know, the point system will come soon.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, yeah, thank you so much for like taking the time to explain that. You know, I hadn't done like a great deal of research in this area because it's so I find it so heavy on the mind for me, but like the way you've explained that really kind of clarifies for me like the need for Lava, or at least like the pain points it's trying to solve with giving like consumers access to data and kind of making sure it's decentralized in the sense that there's lots of different providers people can choose from, and kind of like these APIs, these data points, so to speak, like kind of inherit a lot of properties from blockchain, which they wouldn't have otherwise if you were going to like a centralized party to access them. So would you say that's a fair summary based on what I've said there, or is there anything you'd quickly add? And once you have added anything, just kind of leave some closing remarks and we'll wrap things up.
Definitely no. So I really appreciate the thorough and thoughtful questions. I think that the maybe 3 touch points I would like to finish about Lava vision is that Lava is here to unlock innovation across every blockchain. And we want to give devs the total flexibility at the infra layer. So the midterm is that we are going to support in usage on Cosmos, any Cosmos upchain, and obviously the Celestia ecosystem rollups, every new upcoming chain. We are here for you. And the mid to long term, you know, vision is that we are expanding, already starting now, beyond RPC to subgraph, oracles, sequencer, indexing, and everything there. And just to finish, you know, we want to let the developers build whatever, wherever. Thank you for the time today.